Yeah, I wanted you on the pod, dude, because like I've been seeing some of the stuff that you've been doing in the community, and I think it's just like freaking hilarious, dude. What kind of feedback do you get regularly?
I mean, people like it. It's pretty good. I mean, honestly, I'm just trying to do the best I can to be the voice of and physical manifestation of liberal politics, and that's all there is to it, Car.
So if people don't know, give people like a sense of like the kind of videos you make, because I met you through like just pedicabbing.
Yeah, I sent a message to the awesome Bitcoin Club about trying to get podcast guests, and we did a really good episode. It was pretty serious. We had factually on point topics. And then we started following each other on social media. And it was around that time that I decided to start trolling city council meetings in order to, hold up a mirror and imitate some of the insane policies and ideas that we've been listening to and becoming impacted by. And so I basically go to city council meetings and school board meetings and behave like a typical CNN pundit or staff member in the Biden administration.
And yeah, we'll put a big old square up here so people can see it once we do post. But
good morning, Council. I'm speaking in support of item 63 and the need to declare an emergency. Because right now, the greatest emergency we are facing is COVID. And that is why I am wearing a mask. And that is why we need to reinstate the mask mandates. Cases are rising, and a new variant is going to come out right before the election. So we need to get a head start on this thing. I'm wearing this mask to let you know that I take COVID seriously, because I believe in science, and because I want to protect your grandmother. And I refuse to allow another person to die on account of these COVID-denying, anti-vax, Trump-supporting right-wing extremists. Joe Biden, the greatest president in the history of our country, he's creating a disinformation board. And we have an amazing opportunity to lead on this issue. And that is why we need to put these MAGA hat wearing science deniers in re-education camps immediately. There's no greater threat to our democracy than white supremacy. And if you don't want to wear a mask and get vaccinated, then you are a white supremacist and you need to be removed from society at once. Furthermore, the fact that you have to be a US citizen to vote is rooted in racism and white supremacy as well. Listen, guys, I'm going to leave you with this. Contrary to popular belief, Vladimir Putin and those racist judges on the Supreme Court, they did not cure COVID. So wear a goddamn mask. Thank you.
On item 67, Daniel Kavelman.
The Ninja Turtles one is that's the one that I think is like by far the funniest. It's like you dressed up in a Ninja Turtles, like Michelangelo, right? And you're literally just like telling everybody to wear a mask. And
well, yeah, COVID isn't over. I mean, it's about protecting the community, and I just wanted to let people know that I believe in science, and so we wore a mask.
And how awesome was that?
It was hard to breathe.
Really?
I was like panting because I could not breathe at all. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah. Do they tell you anything? Like when you come in, like, do you put on the Ninja Turtle mask?
I just put it on when I went up to speak.
Oh, okay. But like when you're past, because they have security, right? Like,
yeah.
How does that work? Do they say, sir, what's this turtle mask for?
Oh, well, it's for fighting COVID to keep you safe. You should be thanking me.
And that's
kind of,
and they let you go right through.
Yeah. I'm friends with like the security guards. Like, they love me.
Oh, really?
The security guards are like, you got to be the mayor. You got to run for mayor again. Like they love this stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
They're like, usually when I go in, they're usually like pretty happy to see me when I walk in.
Yeah.
It's the council members that are not happy to see me.
What do they tell you?
Well, they don't tell me anything, but they just look at me with just total disdain and disgust.
Really?
When I give,
do they know what you're doing? Do they know? Do they get it? Of
course they know what I'm doing.
Okay, but they have to listen to it, right?
Yeah, legally that's their job. Yeah. I have constitutionally protected speech, and I have the right to speak at these meetings as long as I'm not threatening violence or doing anything along those lines, right? Or as long as I'm not like actively disrupting a meeting, then they have to listen to me. And I'm not, because I'm speaking on relevant talking points. Like, I'm still speaking on behalf of that relevant agenda item, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy to me how you blew up. Like, you just got on my radar, and I've been watching your Instagram stuff since then, and it's amazing to see the amount of following that you've grown, but also it's kind of cool to see what like people really think. Do you know?
Yeah, I mean,
they all somewhat agree with you for the most part. Like they see what's going on in our community, and they're just like, this is getting ridiculous. Like they're thinking about passing like monkeypox or something.
Well,
like,
no, they made it a public health emergency.
But why? What is monkeypox? I don't even know what this is.
I believe, I could be wrong. It's a disease where like if you have a multitude of sexual partners with the same sex and you're a guy, you get a bunch of legions that kind of resemble smallpox.
That's what monkeypox isn't. That like HIV and AIDS though?
Well, it's not exactly HIV and AIDS because people are getting better from it, right? Okay. But it's just kind of an STD, but they don't want to call it an STD because it'll stigmatize a certain community that they cannot stigmatize because there is, well, you know,
so
kind of a little bit of an agenda going on, even though there's nothing wrong with, you know, being like that. They're just, people are so afraid to like say the truth that they're just not going to call it what it is.
Oh, wow. And do you get monkeypox just from like interacting with people? Like,
no, you get monkeypox most likely from like sharing skin to skin contact with like active lesions.
If they want to do a whole mandatory thing around that,
that's not going to happen.
No, is it because of people like you that are stopping it?
No, I just don't think it's going to happen because it's not relevant. It's not of relevance, right? Like with COVID, even though it was bullshit, like they could justify that because they said COVID's transmissible through like breathing in air and it's a respiratory virus.
And there's enough cases.
It's highly contagious. And, you know, you can get COVID by being in the same room and breathing on someone and touching someone and no one knows how it's spread. But everybody knows how monkeypox is spread right now. So if they were to like start doing monkeypox restrictions, people are already worried about like the attack on like gay people and trans people and all that stuff. Like it's just going to make all that stuff that they're worried about like worse if they did that.
Yeah.
Does that mean, you know what I mean? So I don't think that they want to do that because of that.
Yeah. How closely do you follow all the stuff that's going on in the mainstream news and stuff like that? Is it something that you actually have to do a lot of work to do, or?
I mean,
or is it more like you just you're doing more of the reading, or like, how does that work?
Both. Like there are certain accounts that I follow, or there are certain things that I'll read, and I do my best to try to like look at things from a kind of non-biased. I'll look at like oilprices.com or something and like read about that, you know, because it's just really basic and mathematically like sound. Or I'll listen to like Pomp or something like that, or listen to some segments that he does. And you know, I have like certain like conservative accounts that I'll follow when it comes to like some of the crazy culture jamming stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'll see like Alex Stein's videos and whatnot. And so like I have a hodgepodge of sources that I listen to and like just come up with my own independent conclusions based on what I'm observing and listening to. So, I mean, that's kind of it. And then just form your own opinion based on what's happening, right?
Yeah. Can you pass me the water?
Yeah.
Here you go. Did you get some water?
I did. The water's great, actually. There's like some stuff I've ever had.
Kyle installed like this filtration system or something.
This is some shit. Like,
some good water, right?
This is probably the best. Yeah, this is great water. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I think the thing I wanted to bring you on the most is just because, like, dude, your shirt. Like I see a lot of people wearing it now downtown.
Do you really? I never. I've only seen myself wearing it.
So I see you. There's a couple Bitcoiners that I see. I guess you sold it to them or something.
Yeah.
And then I saw like two other people the other day when I was just walking down 6. But how famous are you in like the local Austin scene as far as like our community that we're here? Because you're like the only pedicabber besides the owner over there that I know of. Like how many other people know who you are inside the city? Like enough to run for mayor maybe and win?
Well, no, not even close. I did it 4 years ago, just totally as a joke. Right. But I mean, I appreciate you saying that I'm blowing up, and it doesn't feel like I am yet. It feels like I'm getting some more attention.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing is gaining traction, which is great, but I don't think I'm quite there yet. I think ultimately, you know, if you believe in what you're doing and you're passionate about it and you're doing it for the right reasons, then whatever happens is meant to happen and it's going to occur. Right.
Yeah. It's like self-manifestation or something.
Yeah. But the shirts, right? You're talking about the shirts. Well, listen, you know, like We're in Joe Biden's America right now. Joe Biden, he got 81 million votes. He's the greatest president of all time. He's super popular. All the Civil War veterans that came back from the dead to vote for him. My cat also casted a ballot for Biden. Like, he's great. Everybody loves Biden. And if you don't love Biden, you know, you probably should go into a re-education camp and you're a domestic terrorist. But that's not the point. Like, the point is, like, we're in Biden country and you can be whatever you want to be. And you could be
those your pronouns?
You can identify as whatever you want. And, you know, like there's a war on the trans community. And part of like being trans is like being able to identify as whatever you want to identify as without being judged or mocked. And so I choose to identify as somebody who's had 3 shots and 5 boosters when in fact I have had 0. And it's because love is love and trans lives matter. And this is what the shirts are. And my pronouns are vax and vaccinated. And if you'd like to buy a shirt, please contact me. You know, I'm happy to sell to you.
Yeah. What's your Instagram? I feel like your Instagram is really great.
Showtime Alex Stranger is my Instagram.
Yeah. What was up that I saw that you went up to Leander or something, and then like some house mom like went after you like socially, right?
Well,
she was a social justice warrior or something.
Good evening, board. Speaking on 7A regarding our student learning environment, I have a trans daughter who attends Whitestone Elementary School, okay? And my daughter, Annabelle, she is identified as a dinosaur since she was 3 years old. And it's really triggering when her science teacher, Miss Hubbard, has repeatedly claimed that the dinosaurs are extinct. And I demand that you remove this hateful language from our curriculum immediately, because you are undermining the existence of my beautiful daughter. You know, every night this past year, she's come home crying. She says, Daddy, 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 Miss Hubbard, she says I don't exist. She says that dinosaurs are extinct. You know, she's literally in tears, okay? And every night I have to tell her, look, baby girl, you are a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and you are valid. You know, I see the pain in my daughter's eyes, and I can't even begin to imagine the pain that every other trans kid in the state of Texas has to feel on a reoccurring basis, especially if they are trans species. You know, the bullying, it's got to stop, all right? The transphobia has to stop. And Miss Hubbard, she needs to resign immediately. You know, the dinosaurs are not extinct because my beautiful daughter is alive and she is valid. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, speaker number 3. Speaker number 3.
I want to also add, speaker number 2 calls himself an entertainer on his Twitter and notes that he is a pedicab driver who makes rap songs about conspiracy theories and speaks at city council meetings. His purpose is to instigate and make mockery of meetings for retweets. Thank you.
What are you referring to?
There was a thing in Leander where like I saw a clip and you went up there and you're talking about your child and how your child is identifying itself as a dinosaur, and they wanted to kick you off stage.
Well, no, I already finished speaking, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, I was talking about my 10-year-old daughter, Annabelle, and we got to protect our trans kids, right? And like my daughter, she's identified as a dinosaur since she was 3, and it's really troubling when her science teacher was saying that the dinosaurs are extinct because it's really triggering and it's abusive. And you know, my daughter, she comes home crying every night. She's like, Daddy, 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 Daddy.
What kind of dinosaur is it? A T-Rex?
Well, yeah. I was like, you know, the teacher, she says, Miss Hubbard, the dinosaurs are extinct, that I don't exist. And I'm like, no, baby girl, listen, like, you're a Tyrannosaurus Rex and you are valid, okay, Annabelle? And so I gave the speech, you know, and then right afterwards, some lady just had to go on stage and say that I was a troll, and you know, I go there just for retweets to rile up meetings.
Really? How does she know?
Like, I literally I gave a speech with my daughter being a dinosaur. Like,
how does she know though?
I don't know. Probably she looked at my Twitter.
I don't even know. For all I know, you could have a daughter named Annabelle and like identifies a T-Rex. Like, that's normal now.
It is normal now. That's exactly that. That's what I'm saying. Like, the absurdity of it all is that we're moving on such a crazy pendulum that this is becoming accepted as fact in certain areas.
Yeah, as soon as you went up there and like, I was like, you know what? In this America, he has every right to say that. And like, how dare she?
The superintendent's office.
Did they reach out to you?
Yeah, they were going to investigate the teacher. And I didn't even know that Miss Hubbard was like a real teacher. I was just trying to like,
oh, poor Miss Hubbard,
add to the story. And so I had to go talk to like the superintendent's office and pretty much say, listen, like, I'm an entertainer. Like, I speak at these meetings to point out like, you know, crazy policies to like help bring sanity to what's going on. I don't want this lady to lose her job in any capacity. Like, I told you guys my daughter's a dinosaur. Like, how are you investigating this? This is wild. And I videotaped
wow.
the whole thing, and it was just that got traction.
Are you going to release it? Did you already release
It's
it?
on my YouTube channel. It's on my Instagram. It's on my Twitter.
The part where
yes,
you're...
the whole conversation with that lady is on my
I'm gonna
YouTube.
check it out.
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah, hi.
Hi, it's Christine Stinson again. Thank you for calling back.
Of course.
Is this a good time to talk?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I just wanted to call and check in with you. Anytime that we have a parent express, a situation that causes us concern, we want to make sure that we reach out and support as best as we can. So it was Annabelle, is that right, that goes to Whitestone?
Oh yeah, Annabelle, she's a Tyrannosaurus. She identifies as a dinosaur. She's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And when you say that the dinosaurs are extinct, it's really triggering.
I understand that. So did you say she was at Whitestone, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Hey,
What grade is Annabelle in?
listen, ma'am, I appreciate this, but I'm gonna be honest, hello?
Are you there?
Yeah. I don't actually want to get Miss Hubbard in trouble or do anything like that in any capacity, okay?
Okay, but you understand that when we have a situation like that, it's pretty concerning. We need to make sure that...
No, I totally understand. I appreciate you reaching out. I have no interest in actually investigating or saying anything bad or negative about this lady in any capacity, okay?
Is Ms. Hubbard Annabelle's actual teacher? Did she have her last year?
No, that was a no. They're listen, I'm an entertainer and I use comedy and I speak at these meetings and use comedy as a way to bring attention to issues that I am concerned about in the future. I didn't even know that Miss Hubbard was a real teacher at Whitestone. This is a mistake. I just want to clarify that, okay?
So, first of all, Mr. Sager, can I tell you thank you very much for your honesty. That means a lot, and I understand that you're an entertainer, and I respect you and your profession. Miss Hubbard is an actual person, and she's extremely upset.
Okay, I'm gonna write something. I'm gonna write something on my Instagram. Say I didn't know she was a teacher. Sorry. I didn't know she was an actual teacher. None of this is meant to be. This is meant to be entertainment. I had no idea she was an actual teacher. This is all for entertainment only, and I'll write that as a disclaimer.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, and it's going to really mean a lot to her. She's been bombarded today. She's got new kids coming in next week and was worried that the parents wouldn't want their kids in her class. So
What?
If you would be willing to do that, that would just be such a magnanimous
for sure.
gesture on your part. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even know that was a real teacher. I mean, I went on stage and said that my daughter's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Like, how is that? I can't even believe this is being investigated. That's crazy.
And I understand that, and believe me when I say, it's difficult in our profession right now because the most important thing for us is student security and safety, and so whatever that means for us, and so we do want to reach out and support. We don't get into the storyline. It's just about support. So I just can't thank you enough for being willing to put that out there that you were using a fictitious name and made for it to be.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like, I honestly had no idea that was a real teacher. Like, that's insane that even happened. Like, yeah, this.
The chair of the Texas Republican Party shared that video and was like, "This is insane." And like the head of Texas Scorecard shared it too.
Dude, what kind of world are we living in right now? Do you think Austin is safe from it, or you think we're like at the front of it?
Dude.
Like seriously, like, I'll let you drink so you can catch your breath and stuff. But like, what do you think like Austin is safe from that, Alex? Or you think it's
Austin's about to turn into San Francisco, bro? You have no idea.
You think so?
Oh, I know so.
Oh man. What do we do? Do we just ignore it?
No. Do you follow city council meetings?
No.
Do you follow any?
The only ones I follow are you, or whenever you're my city council.
Good. Then I guess I got to keep speaking so people know what the hell's going on.
Didn't you have on like what's her name? Your friend Mackenzie, isn't it? Mackenzie.
Yeah, Mackenzie Kelly.
What is she doing about this?
I mean, what
she's on the city council, right?
What can't you do? She's the only conservative member on conservative in quotes member on the council anyway.
Is she? I know she voted against the monkeypox thing, right?
Mackenzie votes. Mackenzie has a really good voting record. She votes the right way that every council member is supposed to vote, right?
Yeah.
But it's also really easy to vote the right way when you're the only conservative member on the dais and your vote was not going to count.
Dang.
And you know that your vote's not going to count.
So what do you do in that situation? Do we get more people that have a little bit more a sane approach to all this stuff on the council, or like, can we do anything at this point? Is it?
No, you can't. I think for this election cycle, we're kind of screwed, right?
You think so?
Oh, I know so.
What are you seeing out there? You mean as far as just Austin, right? Not Texas? Or you think Texas is screwed too?
No, I think Texas should probably be okay. But Austin is screwed. And I'll explain to you why, right?
Yeah, go for it.
So basically, pretty much everybody that's like running for council and mayor and whatnot, pretty much, right? Pretty much everybody, they got pronouns in their like Twitter bio. Okay. So let's just repeat that one more time, right? Or in 2022, okay? If you have pronouns in your bio when all this stuff is going on, chances are you probably wanted lockdowns, right? Chances are last year you would have treated me like a second-class citizen because I didn't want to get a shot.
Right.
Chances are you're okay with a district attorney that doesn't want to prosecute violent criminals.
Right.
Chances are you're okay with giving yourself a 40% pay raise, which the city wants to do for its council members.
They're giving them more money?
They're about to vote to give themselves a 40% pay raise. It's a statesman reporter, Ryan Atullo, tweeted that, right?
How much are they getting paid right now?
They're already making like $80K a year. So they're going to be making like $115K a year or some shit like that, right?
Wow. What do they do again? They just meet like once a week or something? Or?
Once every couple of weeks. But anyway, the point is, chances are if you got pronouns in if you have that, right, you probably think it's cool for like drag queens to like read stories to children that are like 4 years old.
Are they really doing that?
Yes.
In Austin? Though?
Yes.
Where are they doing that at?
They have like events in like libraries. They have like kid drag shows. Like they have all types of weird stuff.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
You've got footage of this? Like in
There's
Austin?
articles about that. Literally Google it.
Oh, I don't look up that stuff, but
it's there, right?
It's happening here in Austin, though?
Yeah. Also, how many pro Bitcoiners do you know have pronouns in their bio?
I don't know of any.
Think about it, right?
Yeah.
How many people that we know, or that you know, that you work with, that you interact with, that are Bitcoiners that really believe in like freedom and liberty and all that stuff, that walk around feeling the need to say, "Hey, my name is John. My pronouns are he, him, or he, they." How many?
No, none. Like that doesn't exist in the Bitcoin space. We just are
you are who
human
you
beings.
are.
Yeah, we're
and
human
that's it.
beings.
And
and we
nobody
just-
cares, and be yourself, and that's it.
Yeah,
right?
we just accept who you are,
Yeah.
regardless. Like that stuff never even comes up.
All right. So basically, what does that say when pretty much every single candidate that's running has pronouns?
I don't know, man. Does that mean that they're not thinking logically and like with
Well, it means that they
other
probably
people in mind?
support the same policies that led to San Francisco becoming San Francisco and Los Angeles becoming Los Angeles and New York City becoming New York City and Chicago becoming Chicago. That's the logical assumption, right? And so with that being said, you do have a couple of conservative candidates that are running, right? But either A, they have no charisma, B, they're awesome, but they're just running in an area where they have almost no chance of winning based on demographics. Or C, they just don't have the ability or wherewithal to understand today's changing landscape for communication. And they're not effectively able to communicate the problems that we're dealing with to a wide range of people and do it in a way that makes people engaged.
right?
Like, you don't know who's running for mayor, right?
No, I don't know right now.
But why? There's a conservative candidate. Her name is Jennifer Virden.
Why isn't no one talking about her?
Why is exactly why? because she's not interesting.
Where is she
Because
at? Like,
she's just a candidate and she's okay. There's nothing like wrong with her or horrible about her, but like,
but why isn't the Austin American Statesman or like the Chronicle talking about these two candidates like publicly?
but you don't even know who the Democrat candidates are either.
Yeah, I don't know any of this stuff. Like,
So, I mean-
why aren't they publishing?
Well,
this stuff?
it gets brought up, but you also have to take it upon yourself to read it, right? But like, okay, so like, why is Jennifer Virden not like really going out and being fully active in the community? Like, why isn't a candidate for Austin mayor hitting up the Austin Bitcoin Club? Why isn't she messaging you? Like, if I'm running for a public office, right?
Hit us up.
I'm hitting you up. Like, I'm using the Bitcoin space and the Bitcoin research as much as possible to get the message across, because I know that like
There's actually
Bitcoiners and
sane
people that
people.
like support freedom are going to be the ones that like want to amplify what I'm doing, and they're going to be the ones who are the most tech savvy. They're going to be the ones who are going to like use their platform and their brand to try to give me as broad of an audience as possible. Even Mackenzie. Has Mackenzie ever tried to contact you?
No, dude. I don't know why.
She never tried to contact you. And you know what? She put a crypto bill out. Remember? She put out that crypto
Dude,
bill.
I even wrote an article on that. Well, Remy did, but we did it on Thriller Bitcoin. And like no one ever
followed up. Nobody followed up, right? You know? And that's the thing. Someone like Mackenzie, right? I love her, nice lady, but if I'm the lone conservative on this dais and I really care about fixing Austin and unfucking up everything the city fucked up with, right? And making Austin a place that's for everybody, I am using my platform to get as much PR and as much publicity for myself as possible, so that when the next election cycle comes, I will have allies. You know, because that's your goal. You're the one Republican. Your job is to get allies for the next election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And all you did was just vote correctly. Which, well, good for you for voting correctly. But you did almost nothing to get support, to really garner like widespread support for you, your brand, what you represent. And because of that, like that support isn't going to translate to other candidates in the city.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
it sounds like we're on a long uphill battle.
you know, you're a city council member, right? In Austin, you're a sitting city council member, and you have the mayor of Miami on speed dial. You know, you could go hit up Francis Suarez.
Oh Lord.
Right? You could. And say, hey man, how do we make Austin a hyper Bitcoinized city? What can we do?
No, but that guy's like, he's the one that got stacks over there and like started shilling a
So
crap
he made a mistake, but
he made a mistake. Yeah.
He made a mistake, but Miami is still a very Bitcoin centered city.
It's more of a crypto city, to be honest with you.
But still, people do accept Bitcoin.
Some places, yeah. We were in there for the conference, and it was fine. But yeah, I don't know if he'd be the best mayor for that. He's not.
But he's the best one so far because nobody else is doing it.
I think there's some small towns in like in the Midwest that just got Bitcoin on their balance sheet maybe like a month ago.
Okay.
So I think for us, I mean, we see it clear as day. Is like, you know, Austin, the city needs to be holding Bitcoin on its balance sheet. They need to facilitate whatever they need to do to get more Bitcoin companies here. There's a lot of things, but I think it just at the very beginning, it's just like, let's just get free press for both sides. Like, that's my thing, is like, I don't care who wins, but like, let the best candidate win by allowing them both to have a platform. That's my biggest thing personally.
Yeah.
It's like, may the best person win with equal share of free press.
Nobody who's running
There shouldn't
for
be an
office,
agenda.
I don't know a single young person in Austin that's excited about local politics in Austin.
Well,
Nobody, right? Do you know a single person in Austin that's excited about anything that's going on locally in Austin?
Probably just me and you and.
No, but not even you. You don't even know who's running. You're not excited about any candidates.
I'm excited to have you here to talk
You're
about
excited
it.
about me, but that's it. The only person that you're excited about is literally me talking to you, right?
About this.
Okay, but that's the thing. Nobody else.
That's where it starts, though.
It
Alex.
starts with me, and I'm doing my best, right? But I'm just explaining why we're heading down a bad path, right? It is because there's nobody else that generates excitement.
What do? Do we hit up the Chronicle? We hit up the Statesman?
No,
and start
those people are
spamming them?
propaganda outlets, right?
You think so?
Absolutely, I know so, right?
Why do you say that for?
Because they are. Because if you went on Twitter during COVID, you had journalists from the Statesman, the Chronicle, from KV, from KXAN, that were activists for getting a vaccine. They were activists promoting lockdowns. They were activists like trying to shame people and treat people like second-class citizens because they didn't want to get vaccinated. You had people who worked for CBS Austin that were actively saying that we need a vaccine mandate in order to function. Okay. So that's not what you do. What you do is you got to figure out, what do people our age want? We want financial freedom. We want to own investable assets. We want to grow things. We want to make stuff. We want to like actively get our names known throughout history. We're probably one of the most ambitious generations in like 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, we are. And the key to doing that is through Bitcoin and new technologies and giving everybody like
a level playing
field or an opportunity and an understanding of how to use this new technology and use this new thing that's happening to grow and advance your position in life. And nobody running is embracing that. If we had like an actively pro Bitcoin candidate, they would have gotten a lot of attention. And even Mackenzie, she could have gone on Pomp's Best Business Show to talk about her crypto bill. Nope, didn't happen.
She can come on this show anytime she wants.
She could. That's what I'm saying.
We're right down the street.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
let's come talk Bitcoin.
And she should.
Or you don't have to talk Bitcoin. Talk whatever you want to talk. Like, it's an open platform. We're not going to shut you out.
But that's the problem with what's happening. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's unfortunate, man. This is why I feel like with what we do here in Austin, as far as like Bitcoiners, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I know me personally and close friends of mine, we just build the future that we want. And they're going to continue doing what they're doing. And at some point, we're going to be there when they're ready to move over. And that's just kind of how I see it. It's like, I can't worry about all these other things that are going on. I'm just going to keep building, make these relationships like you, get the information out there, build all this infrastructure. And then at some point, whenever they do see the light, they will come over. But I mean, it's definitely hard to see it get run down in the process.
Well, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing at these council meetings, because I think these people are past the point of reason.
Yeah.
Every policy they make is kind of mocking us, specifically giving themselves a 40% raise when we have rampant homelessness, rising crime. We can't fix our traffic lights. The roads are disgusting. If you go down Rainy Street, you have full-blown traffic jams on Rainy Street all night long because of the influx of Uber drivers that are out there, right? And then you're like, oh, we got to give ourselves a 40% raise. You know how many small businesses got wrecked from all the lockdowns that happened? And then they just decide to pay themselves more? That is like active. That is the greatest like active display of mockery that you could almost imagine, right? So they deserve what they're getting, and it just makes me more motivated to like just keep culture jamming and just keep going to these meetings and just like really holding that mirror up.
Yeah.
And honestly, more people need to do that here.
Well, thank you for the work that you do out there, Alex. Every time I see you, sometimes I'll see you riding the pedicab around. I'll be like, there he goes. There goes my hero right there.
I try, Mel. Thank you. I appreciate
Are you gonna run for mayor this time?
No, because I don't live in Austin anymore. I bought a house in Johnson City. Like,
really?
Yeah, I bought this house in January. Like, I know what's happening in Austin. I know what's gonna happen here.
Right? Dude, don't leave.
Well, I mean, I work here. My life is here, but
how nice is it in Johnson City?
It's a lot better.
Yeah.
I think I made a really good investment. I'm buying a home there because when Austin turns to shit in 5 years, which it will, considering what's happening and how asleep at the wheel people are.
To say with it.
Well, good. I hope I'm wrong. But from what I see right now, with the fact that there's so many young people that are just unaware of what's going on in Austin and unmotivated to really do much because you have such a small number of people that are really bringing attention to what's happening and doing it in a way that's like, that's positive, uplifting, and charismatic, you know, and then there's insane amounts of money funding these like other people, like these pronoun people that are coming in, right? Replacing the other council that we have. It's, what do you think is going to occur? Like, what do you think is going to happen to Austin in 5 years if we keep going down the direction that we're going?
I don't know.
When you have a district attorney that doesn't prosecute real criminals.
I've been hearing,
and people don't even know. And most people in Austin, if you were to even bring that up, they don't even know who Jose Garza is.
Who is that?
Jose Garza is a district attorney in Austin. Okay.
Okay.
And Jose Garza is a district attorney in Austin who throws out PR bonds to violent criminals on a reoccurring basis. A PR bond is a personal or cognizance bond.
What does that mean?
It means that like, if you're basically like, if you're poor, you're a minority, and you're like on the lower end of the socioeconomic ladder, if you get arrested because they don't want to keep people in prison unjustly, if they're poor minorities, because it stigmatizes them, they will lower bail conditions and sometimes eliminate bail requirements.
Is it because they're like doing vicious crimes, or is this just like petty theft or something?
I mean, theoretically, that's what sold it. It's because you don't want to keep people in prison for stupid petty crimes. That's dumb, right?
Maybe they're just stealing something at the mall or something, or
well, that was what they sold to the people. But what's happening in reality is like, oh, this guy got caught in a shootout, and they released him on a PR bond. Crap. This guy got caught with like, 25 grams of coke and a bunch of guns in his house, and you're released on a PR bond. Like that's what they're doing on a reoccurring basis in Austin with our DA.
Dang, dude. Sounds like you need
There was a guy who literally got convicted of raping his ex-girlfriend. Okay. And there's a Fox News article. I can send it to you afterwards, but like his sentence wound up being probation, being convicted of raping somebody. There was a guy named Douglas Cantor last year. Remember that shooting that occurred on 6th Street about a year ago?
Yeah, it was on East 6th.
On Dirty, yeah. Like 14 people got shot. It was like
but
two
wasn't he from
gangs.
out of town that came over here?
Yeah, these two these gangbangers from like Killeen or Temple came to Austin to like hash their beef out and just started shooting at each other on 6th Street. And only one person in that group got charged with a felony.
One person?
I think, yeah. Or one person got charged with the murder.
What happened to the rest of them?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is who our district attorney is.
Dang, dude. It sounds, wow, this is heavy.
It's bad. That's why I'm saying like, it's not good what's happening to the city. And you can see Austin starting to turn into a San Francisco if this stuff continues manifesting itself. And because you haven't really seen crime and all that stuff really happen at the level that is causing widespread concern, people are still asleep at the wheel. And so by the time that does happen, it might be too late.
I know, man. This is some scary stuff.
It is scary. And it's also bad because I do this job pedicabbing. And if we start having real safety problems, people aren't going to want to go downtown. I'm going to get a different clientele. I'm going to start worrying for my physical safety every time I'm on the bike. What
have you seen out there as far as like pedicabbing the whole time? Like, what do you see out there, Alex?
Right now, you just see a bunch of rich guys with money that are going out trying to like hook it up, and pay you, right? And it's great. It's fine. But you're also starting to see a little bit of that stuff kind of slowly creep in.
Really?
I had somebody flash a gun at me a few weeks ago.
Really? Why?
For no reason. These two like high school kids, or they looked young, right? And they like came up to me and like started threatening me, telling me I have to leave if I don't want to get my ass beaten, this and that, right? So I was like, well,
are they not from Austin?
I don't know what was going on, but I told her, I was like, hey man, I'm right here if you want to fucking do this. Let's go. I'm not, I'm not afraid of you, bro. Like, let's fucking go. Like, you got a problem with me? I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere, man. Like, I was trying to get a ride, but that's it. And so I stood up my bike, ready to fight. And the guy lifts up his shirt and fucking flashes a fucking 9mm at me.
What the hell, dude?
And then he's like, yeah, get out of here. I'll beat your ass and this and that. And I'm like, you have a gun. And then I just drove up. I was calm. I was like, well, I guess that's that. But you don't want to see stuff like that continuing to happen, right? Or like, what if I had a firearm and what if I shot that kid? Then a bunch of social justice BLM activists would start attacking me because of the climate. Yeah, because of the climate that we're in. If I had reported that and the cops arrested that guy, our DA would have let him out before breakfast.
God, dude.
And that's where we're at. I had a motorcycle get stolen from me about a year, like around like last October. When I called it in, there are only 3 police officers that were able to deal with auto thefts right now.
3?
3 cops in the auto theft department.
Dang, dude.
3 car. All right. So
this is not good.
That's not good, right? Like you're creating the building blocks to turn Austin into a San Francisco type city. It's it's extremely dangerous. And what's dangerous is that there are almost no viable candidates that are running for office here with any with any ability to communicate that are going to change anything. That's what's dangerous.
God. Should Bitcoiners start running for office, you think?
I think so. I think that's a good idea.
Mm.
I think that's what should have been happening, years ago. But we got to start now. I was surprised that you don't have a single Bitcoiner running a campaign in Austin, right?
Yeah,
like considering
at least this
that
year.
Austin's like a big tech hub. There's not a single pro Bitcoin candidate that's running. Because you would have known, right?
Yeah, we would have known. We would have all been talking about it.
You'd be talking about it. You'd be hyping that guy up.
We would have got him elected or her elected.
You would have at least tried. You'd have thrown money at that person. You'd have been sending them
100%.
stats. You'd have been talking to Marty Bent. You would be like, hey, Pump, we got this guy that's running. He understands the space. We want to put him on the show. You would have done stuff. And nobody is even like trying or putting that information, putting themselves out there in that capacity.
I think there's a lot of Bitcoiners focused on Texas, like the actual Texas part of it. No one's focused on the city council or like the mayor stuff here in Austin. More people are focused on the outer, like Texas as a whole.
Well, the Texas Bitcoin Club apparently is pretty big in Midland and Odessa and the Permian Basin because you could apparently use a lot of the excess fossil fuel to help mine Bitcoin and not waste the energy, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's got to be a lot more. I think Bitcoin is going to be the way to kind of help shift just help shift Austin back to normal and also make it so that like regular people start benefiting from how Austin grows. Because if people are hodling Bitcoin and you create a Bitcoin ecosystem where people are getting paid and transacting in Bitcoin, well, Austin's going to grow and it's going to become more affordable and things are going to become more expensive, but your net worth should grow at a 5 times faster rate than whatever the expenses are. So then you're fine and you're good and you get to thrive here.
I think me and Kyle are a perfect example of that, right? Like we hodled for a long time. Then we used that money to start Austin Bitcoin Club and now Pleb, what you're seeing here now. And so that created more jobs. That created more people facilitating, Bitcoin companies or whatever startups are doing. Like that's because like a lot of what we did during those early days of like saving up and building towards that. So maybe you'll see that happen more often where Bitcoiners who are hodling now will be able to create all these new companies that will help foster more thing. I mean, I don't know. That's at least my hope. Maybe that's just very naive of me to think like that. But
I hope so. I mean, if we don't fall into like a Great Depression with everything that's going on, but that would be nice. And if you do fall into a Great Depression, Bitcoin becomes invaluable anyway, because if you get into a Great Depression, you start selling the idea of a central bank digital currency becomes a lot more appealing to the general public.
How do you think that's going to play out? I have my theories on
What's
that.
your theory? I want to hear yours and I'll show you mine.
I literally think what they're going to do, I think they're going to do like a cyber attack, like on a Friday or something. It'll shut everything down. And then I think what they'll do is then at that point, they'll have like like no one will be able to access the banks. They'll blame it on whoever they have to blame it on to like point the finger at it.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I think like CBDCs get underway and they'll just like literally say like maybe like the debt is gone or something ridiculous like that. And then they'll start sending out these stipends of like these digital currencies at the post office or something.
So everybody
has to be onboarded to this app if they want their stipend. And then that's how they do surveillance control or whatever. I think that's how it probably plays out naturally, but it's going to happen through an event where people are going to be like, whoa, the cyber attack of 2020.
But then what about Bitcoin though? What'll happen to Bitcoin
I think
if that happens?
Hopefully by then we've already built out this like circular economy where everybody's onboarded to Bitcoin and then we just transact in Bitcoin at that point where we are no longer transacting.
Are you worried that if a massive cyber attack happens, they start like hacking and messing with people's Bitcoin wallets?
And this is where it's like cool being here in Pleb Lab, right? Like me and Super are having these conversations about like building mesh networks now. And
but if you have this thing on a hard wallet, if it's on a hard ledger wallet and your computer's off, you're probably safe anyway, right?
But no, yeah, absolutely. But this is where I'm realizing now, like we need to build our own infrastructure. So when that does happen, we have like some offline way to like still sell whatever we need to sell, still purchase whatever we need to sell before, when the internet gets kicked back on. Or maybe we all are on those Tesla, like, have you seen those Tesla, like internet Starlink? Have you seen that? That's a whole internet thing now that people have been using to go work out in the country and stuff. And like Starlink gets really good. So maybe we just all get Starlinks. Either way, dude, we're already looking at that. But I think that's how it plays out. I think that's how they introduce.
I think that's one scenario.
What's your scenario?
But I also want to just continue to talk about this, right? Like if you have your money on a ledger and your computer's off and it's on cold storage, you're probably going to be safe. And what I think will also happen is if the money that you have on your ledger is safe from a cyber attack, then once the internet does go back on, even if it takes a couple weeks, the value of Bitcoin will really start shooting through the roof because the money from exchanges gets wiped out. Mm-hmm. So you eliminate the supply even more, and you start seeing the value of Bitcoin compared to what a CBDC is. So only the very, very wealthy are going to be the ones that are going to have Bitcoin. And therefore, if you own Bitcoin, it's going to be invaluable to have.
I think
and you might also see small communities that drift off that just say, we're not going to use this. We're just going to use our Bitcoin. And that's how we're going to transact. And we're not going to get involved with this.
Because we're already doing that. Like right now, we went to Meteor this morning.
You might also, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You might also see, because the United States is kind of dividing itself at a very crazy rate. You might also see certain parts of the world, parts of the United States that just decide that they're not going to do that. And they're going to only transact in Bitcoin. And you'll see like the corporate media, or you'll see mainstream establishments say like kind of criticize those areas as backwards. Look at these guys. They use the volatile currency. They don't respect trans people. They outlaw abortion. They do all this. Like they're right-wing zealots, look at like they'll make up like points about how bad it is to live out there. And it'll just be a way to like kind of brainwash the masses to just stay in the New World Order.
Did you see that piece from the Atlantic? 100%. They're doing that already with like Christians. Did you see that piece in the Atlantic?
With the rosary and stuff?
Yeah, dude.
I'm not reading
It's so crazy to think like now they're basically saying like a rosary, like what I have right here is I'm like some terrorist now. It's like, what? Well, I go to church every Sunday. How am I a terrorist? Because I go to church and I wear a rosary?
Well, this is going to backfire. Here's another way that this CBDC stuff plays out in a much, well, before we go there, how do you feel about gold and silver then?
I'm long silver. I have silver.
All right. Well, because if a cyber attack like that does occur, having like physical gold and silver is also going to shoot up tremendously.
Maybe even guns and bullets and like and stuff like that.
Gardening and basic like that basic like basic stuff that you barter with is going to be what's valuable.
Yeah, like meat.
But like having
gasoline.
Gold, So I mean, I think like hodling silver and gold at these prices is also kind of a smart move to do in case of that. Even though this is a Bitcoin podcast, and I am mostly I'm more Bitcoin than gold.
We're moving you over slowly.
No. Well, I am way more Bitcoin than gold, right? But I do think that like with what you're talking about with the cyber attack, there is a lot of value in having physical gold and silver on your possession because Bitcoin, it's a hedge against inflation and financial tyranny. But physical gold is a hedge against absolute disaster. Because in absolute disaster, you go back to primitive times. And in primitive times, what was the money people used in primitive times?
Yeah.
Gold.
Yeah.
So that's my theory. And I think it's something that people should just keep in mind. Just remember when Russia invaded Ukraine, what happened to gold and silver for like that 1 or 2 weeks?
Shouldn't it shoot through the roof?
It did. It hit like the retracement. It hit like 702 retracement. It hit its retracement levels, right? But it shot through the roof compared to what it was. And if you have another disaster like that was nothing compared to the types of disasters that we could be dealing with in the future. So I think it's just something to consider and keep in your back pocket. Like look what happened to gold when a micro disaster occurred, or when a disaster occurred that was not on a full global scale, right? Imagine if like a mega disaster were to occur on a full global scale. What's going to happen to gold and silver, right? Like, so I think that like with that being said, it doesn't hurt to have some of that stuff, right?
No, it doesn't. Definitely not.
It doesn't hurt. But back to my other theory about how CBDCs will get implemented.
Yeah, tell me.
It'll just be through a global depression based on our energy crisis and our food crisis.
Okay, explain.
Right. So like, okay, look at the whole ESG movement. Look at the climate movement. Look at what they're trying to do. They're in like the Netherlands. They're not letting farmers like produce food with a certain, they're trying to like eliminate the number of nitrogen that farmers are using to produce food, right? Which It's probably not going to do all that much to help the environment, but what it will do is it will make the cost of fertilizer and the cost of everything to produce food go through the roof. When that happens, the farmers are going to have to pass that good on to the consumers. When that happens, the prices of food, gas, and other energy sources are going to just start skyrocketing. When that happens, people spend way more of their disposable income on basic necessities instead of on consumer goods and other services. When that happens, companies that make these consumer goods and hire people to help promote and sell these consumer goods need to start laying off workers. When that happens, those people who already have problems getting food and XYZ now can't buy these consumer goods and they're struggling to buy food. When that happens, now banks have to raise interest rates because, companies are going to go bankrupt. They're going to go default. There's a lot of zombie companies that take on tons of debt that are only alive because we have almost no interest rates, and they're alive off of borrowing money that they don't have. And then once banks say, we got to raise our rates because we're worried about you collapsing, well, there goes another section of the economy. And then, oh shit, you just created a massive depression. Somebody needs to, you can't have the people starve. You can't have people go homeless. You can't repeat that. And so then, governments, policy leaders, think tank officials say, well, we need to give people a universal income. And that universal income has to be for these really basic services like food and gas and electricity and all these basic necessities. And it becomes programmable money where that's all that the money can be used for. And people are going to voluntarily go along with that because of
crisis.
Yeah, because of fear and desperation and just wanting to eat and feed their family.
Do you think it gets to a point where there's a new world order or no?
We're already there, kind of.
You think so?
In some ways.
No, but like a new world order, like we all know, like which is like a one world government, one currency. Do you think and then they're all surveilling you? Basically 1984. Do you think we get to that point, or do you think there's a point where we can deviate from that? We could still save it.
I don't know. I think it's that's all based on what you do and your actions and what you choose to support and what you choose to go along with and how educated you get about what's happening around you. I think people have gotten pretty awake to what's going on. And a lot of people really capitulated over fear when it came to COVID and everything else. Right. But there's a group of people that realize, oh man, I messed up. So the next crisis, I'm not going to let the next crisis get taken advantage of. Right. But there was still 30% of the world's population that didn't get the shot, that just didn't go along with that. That's a lot of people to fight back. Right.
Yeah.
That's not enough that's not enough of a group to help really manufacture something like that in. So I don't know. I think we're a ways away from a global government. I think a global government, that's a ways away. I think what kind of will happen is it'll be a quiet global government. Like the World Economic Forum is having these meetings at Davos. And whatnot,
why do they get to
right?
decide everything?
Well, because you just have groups of policymakers, members of royalty, heads of certain major corporations, Saudi oil execs, and just groups of people that have insane amounts of money and influence. And they kind of have to come together and agree on these public-private partnerships amongst themselves that'll affect the masses. And so it's one of those things where if you just get the whole world to go along with that agenda, then you can get a global government, but not call it that.
Do you ever think it's,
right? If that makes sense. But I think it's getting harder and harder to do that because there's so many countries that are just refusing to do that. Like El Salvador is an example.
Well, aren't they putting people in their cabinet though? Aren't they getting WEF people, their own WEF people to get inside the cabinets of some of these other countries?
But not in El Salvador.
Well, not in El Salvador, but isn't Trudeau one of the WEFs?
Yeah,
people and then
look
other
at Canada.
countries.
Okay, but what about Eastern Europe? What about no country in Eastern Europe is going along with this stuff. Hungary isn't going along with it. Romania is not going along with it. I don't think Poland's going along with it. I don't think Yugoslavia is going along with this stuff.
Do you think then it becomes?
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying, but didn't they do the same thing?
Brazil isn't going along with this stuff.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think my point is, didn't they do the same thing with central banking, where they literally started putting central banks in all of these different countries, and then now they're down to like 2 or 3 that don't have a central bank in them right now?
Well, that's like what being an economic hitman is, and that's why a lot of countries have gone along with this stuff, because they have no choice.
So, do you think if the WEF uses the same tactic, they'll still?
I think it's possible, but I also, I don't know. I think it's possible, but nobody knows. I think that I think that the United States' power and influence is kind of standing in the way of it. And I think they're trying to split the United States up so that it doesn't have the same influence and power that it does to like actually protect and promote basic freedom and liberty.
I honestly believe that there's still some hardcore Americans out there that it'll swing the other way, because I think there's a lot of us that believe in like the founding fathers and like what they built, that we won't let it get to a point like that. I firmly believe that. I think that's going to happen. It doesn't look so right now, but I do believe that it only took like 10% of the population to overthrow England.
Yeah, it took a very small percentage. I mean, I could see the United States splitting up though, with especially what happened with Donald Trump and like they hiring 87,000 IRS agents.
Dude, 1 to every 4,000 Americans.
Something like that. I mean, to be fair though, a lot of it is they're factoring
they're gonna have
in
guns now.
They've always had guns. They're factoring in people quitting and people resigning and people retiring. So it's not like the net is going to be like 40,000 or 50,000 IRS agents over 10 years.
But that's still 1 to every 4,000.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And they're saying that there's only like there's like over 1 million people that make like $400K a year. So it's like, oh, it's just going to be concentrated mostly for those people. That's what they're saying. I don't believe it though, because I don't really believe anything coming out of people's mouth. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
No, it's basically on the amount of stuff they've done in the past. That's what I believe. Everything they've done in the past.
But I also think that like there's so much backlash, especially amongst like conservatives living in red states, that I could start seeing like bold conservative governors like Ron DeSantis or Carrie Lake, if she wins, just actively taking steps to just now recognize their authority. And I think like stuff like that could start causing the country to split up. Like you could have conservative governors that are like, oh, we don't recognize Joe Biden as the president. Like if states start decertifying elections, like well, I think that depending on who the governors are in the next election cycle, you might see a couple of states decertifying elections. And if you start decertifying elections, well, then you don't recognize that person as your president, and then you start governing in a way that governing in a much different fashion.
Do you think Texas ever secedes? Or
no? I think it's too soft. Our conservatives are the worst, dude.
Think so?
Yeah, they are hard. Like that's why Texas is actually at the threat of going blue. Like that's why Texas could go blue, I think, because like our conservative leadership is just like it's garbage. Do you know? I
don't follow it.
Well, exactly. But Governor Abbott and the Texas legislative body did not ban vaccine mandates. They had 3 special sessions. They never issued a ban on vaccine mandates. Governor Abbott is not going to preemptively ban central bank digital currencies.
But I remember when the COVID thing happened, didn't he get us off of the restrictions faster than any other governor?
No, Ron DeSantis did. And then Greg Abbott did it like 5 months later after the power grid shut down.
No, remember? Because like everything was locked down where no one could be open. And then like he came like in April and like said, nah, F this.
He didn't do anything. No. What happened was like towards like mid-April, he said, oh, we're going to start opening up the state parks for up to 5 people. You can do retail to go. It was like the softest opening ever. And then everyone like was hysterical saying, oh, he's going to get us all killed, this and that.
Because by June, by the riots, we already had everything pretty much open.
Yeah. And then he reclosed everything 3 weeks later and didn't really open anything up until like October of that year.
Looking back on it now, dude,
that was cities like Austin.
They
when they
fought
had an
us.
opportunity to open their bars, they refused to they refused to grant bars the ability to open.
Yeah, they fought us on that, if I remember.
They fought.
The city council like didn't want to open up anything. Yeah, they were so scared.
Exactly, because they care about working people. Fuck these guys. These guys are absolute clowns.
Like, and now there's like not too much anymore. A lot of it's been bought up, but now there's like I remember at the time you would go down like 6th Street, everything was boarded up. You go down anywhere downtown Austin, it was all boarded up. All these like people that had their own businesses were gutted. It was awful, dude. There were some places that closed that probably shouldn't have closed.
There were some. Good thing though, a lot of people stayed open because we had a governor that kind of like, I mean, if I'm going to give him a grade for how he handled COVID, I give him like a C maybe.
Yeah, I think he did it better than most out there.
But it was still bad. And he doesn't have the charisma. And you're with the border crisis, you're like doing these PR stunts of busing people to DC and New York.
Oh, is that what he's doing?
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's cute and all. But like, why don't you just literally bust them back to Mexico? You know, why aren't you deploying the National Guard? Why aren't you like sending, why aren't you like deputizing? Why aren't you like giving local municipalities the ability to deputize their own citizens? Like, why aren't you like talking about sending local law enforcement officers down there to like stop what's kind of an invasion, right? Like, you're not doing that. Like, it's like it's like I'm a cuck-servative is what he is. Like, that's. And then when they had the Uvalde shooting, our lieutenant governor pussed out of going to the NRA convention. You know, like it's just you don't have good you don't have leadership that really. I
think what it is, we don't have strong men at leadership.
Yeah, at least in Florida, you have DeSantis, who's like using.
How great is this guy?
He's the best. Him up. I love DeSantis. He's the best.
But he's a poop coiner.
Ron DeSantis?
Is that the mayor?
No, he's the governor of Florida.
Oh,
Ron DeSantis is the man, and Suarez is still a Bitcoin. He still has Bitcoin. Like Miami still made a lot of progress, more so than most other cities in the United States in doing that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I guess he had to learn.
Yeah. Well, so we should, learn from what they did in Miami. But we're not doing that. Nobody's doing it. No one's doing anything.
Yeah.
No, nobody's doing shit. So what are you going to do?
Let me ask, I got a fun fact today.
Yeah. What's the fun fact?
Fun fact. This is random. But did you ever meet Alex Jones or no?
I met him a couple times, yeah.
So, fun fact, Alex Jones will pay one family $45.2 million in punitive damages after spreading lies about the 2012 massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School. He had to file for bankruptcy from his LLC. And then during the trial, but the parents and the lawyers believe he is hiding millions of dollars. That's today's fun fact.
That's a fun fact, all right.
What do you think about that?
Legally, I don't think that they can, there's a cap on punitive damages, so it's not going to be nearly that much money. It'll probably be like 4 or 5 million, but it's a witch hunt. I mean, did you make a mistake? Did you say certain things about that wound up not being true that could have caused certain people certain problems? Yeah. But then it's a slippery slope where like anybody like you or me, you could say something that causes somebody to get upset, and then a reverberating backlash could occur. And then, all of a sudden now you're going to bankrupt me. Now they're going to bankrupt you. Like,
but
that's what they're
freedom of speech though.
Yeah, I think that it's dangerous. What they're doing is it's being used as a way to attack people's freedom of speech. And yeah, technically the First Amendment says like, hey,
you can't incite violence, right?
Well, no, but also it's protecting from the government. Like, so the government can't arrest you for like saying anything, but like, somebody could still sue you civilly for something.
Oh,
so that technically, I think that's what it means.
It's kind of like the OJ thing, right? Where
yeah,
like he got let off
but that's the thing, though. Like, that's why you got to fight back.
Civilly.
So like, okay, if they're going to do it to Alex Jones, then do that to every CNN reporter. Like anytime like a news reporter or a local like leftist reporter says something bad about you that's defamatory, and something happens that you believe was caused by that, start suing those people in droves. Just spend a bunch of money.
Isn't that what Arnold Schwarzenegger did? Or was it Arnold Schwarzenegger that did?
No, that's Peter Thiel did that to Gawker.
What did he do?
Where they were spying on like Hulk Hogan or doing something with like Hulk Hogan and writing stuff about him like without his permission, and Peter Thiel sued them into oblivion, and now they don't exist anymore. But you have to like, if they're gonna start doing stuff like that's like Alex Jones, right? I mean, the only thing you can do, right, when it like is just the only thing you can do is like fight back, right? And my opinion is you fight back by just anytime like some liberal or leftist pundit or somebody who's like on the opposite side of this says something that might be defamatory towards you, and you could like prove that you were attacked or harassed as a result of it, well then get a lawyer and sue. And there needs to be like a collaborative effort amongst like people who actually value free speech to support that stuff, so that you either so you stop it. Because if a bunch of like lefties or liberal reporters start getting sued left and right because of this, they're gonna say, hey, this is an attack on free speech, and they'll say the same thing, and then all of a sudden there's not going to be any more discrimination against that.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Like,
I remember like in the 80s and 90s, you used to be able to say whatever you wanted and no one, right? Or am I just imagining that?
well, yeah, but you didn't have the same audience.
Yeah.
You know, like how many people knew about the New World Order that was happening in the 80s and 90s? Like that stuff was still being planned in the 80s and 90s, but nobody knew about that. What if COVID happened in 1995?
Probably would have been successful.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Wow. What if 9/11 occurred after Facebook? Do you think we would have even gone into Afghanistan or into Iraq the way in which you did?
Damn, dude, I don't even remember I was so young back then. I don't even remember I just remember that day being so sad and like everybody was like curled up in their living rooms, like watching TV.
I was a sophomore in high school when that happened, and I was in New York. So I was
you
like,
were?
I was like, oh shit, we get 2 days off of school. Like that was like what I was thinking. I was barely even processing any of that stuff.
You were in New York at that time?
I grew up there, yeah.
Oh wow, Alex!
But it was weird though because like we saw one plane hit a building, right? And then like, then they knew to have like a camera crew there. It was like you already just saw cameras there right off the bat, and I'm like, how did y'all know to have a camera crew there right when that happened?
Oh crap!
And then like when the second plane hit, we're like, oh my god, like there's a camera right at the building when the second plane hit. And I'm like, well, how's the camera there so quickly? Kind of like, I always wondered that, right?
As a kid, then growing up and like wondering how they knew.
Yeah. Like how is the camera there at that exact spot so quickly?
I don't know, man, dude. It's a scary, world can be a scary place sometimes.
Yeah, it is scary. But back to what you're saying too about Alex Jones, you have GOP establishment, GOP figures were attacking Alex Jones and saying and like praising the judgment against him. You know, and I'm like, well, you can't win and get free speech or get freedom and liberty if people who are like supposed to be conservatives aren't defending those principles. So that's what the problem is too. We don't have courageous leadership to fight back, I don't think. And we're getting slowly there, but we're not getting there fast enough, right? And so you need like courageous conservatives. You don't have that too much. Yeah,
we just need more strong leadership out there.
Yeah. And strength is manifested in a multitude of ways, right? Like, you know, going and I don't know, holding up a mirror and using comedy to like expose tyranny and staying the course is an example of strength.
Yeah, by mocking them and like showing like, how it literally like basically putting a mirror in front of them.
And I think that's the way you do show strength is you have logical discussions. You speak charismatically and empathetically to get people to understand your point of view. And then you also hold up a mirror to mock how ridiculous things have gotten for everyone to see.
Yeah, it's like,
and then you let people make their own decisions because I think that people are still smart enough. If they understand what's going on, they'll stop it voluntarily.
It's like we're the turtle right there, and like the fishes are the people attacking us, and we're just trying to live out in the ocean, be free, just like that, you know.
Pretty much like this stuff that we're talking about only occurs if people consent to it. Okay, like they don't have the ability or the manpower to force us to do anything en masse against our will. They don't. So the only reason that this will ever occur is if they convince us that this is in our best interest. And so that's why like violence or anything like, or talking to people hostilely or being confrontational is the wrong approach, because the more you do stuff like that, the more you actually convince
the authorities, the people in power.
The more you convince regular people to go along with what this agenda is.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to like convince the general public to resist what's happening or to just refuse to comply or not do it is to use humor and use like logic and use compassion and use common sense and just sell your ideas in a way that's non-threatening. I think that is the best way to fight back, because that causes people to listen. It causes people to be receptive. And this stuff can only occur if the general public consents to it at a large scale.
Yeah, I think for me, I can only speak for myself, but for me, I always just try to inspire the people around me, do the changes that I can, help the people that I can in this community, and help foster any kind of goodwill towards Bitcoiners, because I want them to look back and be like, no, these Bitcoiners actually change the city for the better. Like, I want them to say that. And to me, the more and more people that Michael brings to Austin Bitcoin Club every month, and we see the hands raise up and it's like 50% new people, the more and more positive, mindset that's getting out there for Bitcoiners. And I think as long as I keep doing that and other people in our city keep doing that, I think we'll finally turn the tide in the favor of like common sense.
Yeah. And I also think that changing the world comes with change. Like, listen, we're probably not going to have Austin do anything meaningful to Bitcoin. Austin's probably not going to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. There's still a lot of dinosaur thinking on the city council. There's a lot of dinosaur thinking from a lot of these like political influencers in Austin. There's a lot of the people who are like on the neighborhood, on the preservationist side, and people who are on the quote unquote conservative side in Austin. Unfortunately, they don't really get it. But with that being said, you have no control over that. The only thing you can do is try and speak. And so all you can do is just keep leveling up as an individual and accumulate as much Bitcoin as you can at these prices.
Right.
And that's it. And then if things go down lower, you just buy more Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's a
with
war.
that you can afford at spot and not leverage yourself.
It's a war of attrition.
Yeah.
You gotta lean on them.
Listen, man, here's the thing, right? I'm not an expert on Bitcoin. I'm not even like that good with computers, right? And I'm
really,
like,
I thought you have like your phone on your pedicab and you have like this whole thing.
No, I mean, I have my podcast, but I have a producer that does it. And I have,
what's your producer's name? Shout him out.
Gary Faust, baby. Faust Media.
Boss.
He's the best. But what was I saying? Like, I'm not like the most tech savvy person. I'm not like, and my knowledge on Bitcoin is really minimal. But I do know that, fiat money is arbitrary, and it's fiat money comes at the whim of bureaucrats and policymakers that you didn't elect that are going to decide your fate for you without any regard for what you're doing. Whereas Bitcoin is mathematically consistent. And because and once you realize that Bitcoin is mathematically consistent, everything that's happening right now is happening in a pattern. And all you have to do is understand the pattern and make your decision according to how these patterns develop, and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Bitcoin was designed to be consistent. Like, these 80% drawdowns happen deliberately, and they happen so that they can get more and more people to buy into this. That's why it happens. It happens to get more and more people to adopt this thing, because if you didn't have these 80% drawdowns, it would never be a widely adopted form of currency. The only reason it can never get to that level is because of all the 80% drawdowns that keep occurring after each cycle.
I think also too, does
that make sense?
It makes sense. I think a lot of the thing too as well is like you see people hodling during these times, and then they use that. Some, not all. Some of them use it to go start Bitcoin companies and make changes in their local cities and stuff. So
that's good. Unfortunately, you have a lot of people that become skeptics because of this, because they don't understand it, and they'll buy Bitcoin when everyone's hyped on it, and then when the crash occurs and they lose all their money, they hate Bitcoin and become like Bitcoin perma bears.
Oh, yeah, they buy at the top.
Yeah, and they buy this thing not understanding what it is.
Yeah, they need to be like the turtle and just like float through like that. Just hodl and float through.
Yeah, just take your time. Just be a monkey and literally buy.
Don't pay attention to the noise. You see all those little fishies around him? Those beta fishies?
Yeah, don't pay attention and just buy. Just don't keep floating. Don't buy what you can't afford, but just put a little bit in every week. Just put whenever somebody sends you something on Cash App, just put it into Bitcoin and use it, right? Like
get it into cold storage.
Yeah.
Fly like the turtle.
Do what you can. Understand what things are worth,
Fly like the turtle. What do you think of that sea turtle? Can you appreciate something majestic like that?
Yeah.
Have you ever gone scuba diving?
Yeah, once when I was like 12 years old, 10 years old. I was in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Dominican Republic. Yeah, it was cool. I gotta go back and do that again.
Dude, I one time went scuba diving with sharks. Scary as crap.
Scary?
Ever, dude. Yeah, dude, don't ever do it. It was in Hawaii. Yeah.
That'd be fun. I want to go jet skiing before the summer ends. Yeah. I've done that before a few years ago, but I want to do it again.
Yeah, and like growing up in South Texas, you would see turtles all the time. They're faster than you think, dude.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
literally faster than you think. Few know this.
I didn't know that.
Don't underestimate a turtle. They're pretty quick.
I did not know
Especially in like muddy waters. They can just like like a rabbit. They just like glide. It's almost like they're gliding.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Who do you have on the pod this week?
I got Matt Rinaldi. He's the chairman of the Texas GOP. So we're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
Whoa, dude.
He's like a
Look
fan
at
of my
you.
stuff, which is pretty cool. Well, we'll see. I'm excited to talk to him. It's going to be fun.
You are blowing up, man.
And then I got there's a city council meeting in Lake Travis and also in Round Rock. So you got to stay tuned and follow my Instagram, Showtime Alex Stranger. And
yeah, we'll link it all.
you got to link it all. Really,
We'll link it all.
There's going to
Do
be
you do any writing?
some fun stuff in store, for
Do
y'all.
you do any writing, Alex?
Writing?
Yeah.
Not so much anymore,
You should do some writing, man. I feel like you have a lot on your mind that you could.
Well, I'm also doing a lot. You
If you ever-
can't overextend yourself either. But what's up,
Sure. I was gonna say, if you ever want to write and post it on Thriller Bitcoin, you have a platform.
dude? I would love that. Yeah, thank you. That'd
Yeah,
be great,
just-
actually.
I'll send you a contributor link, and you just sign up and whatever you want to write about, man.
Yeah.
I don't care.
How does that work in terms of?
Man, it's a free open platform. We don't make any money.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like people donate sats and stuff like that, and that's what.
I'll link
keeps,
my
like-
wallet and I'll be like, if you like it, send me some.
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
Donate it right to you, right from the post.
That'd be excellent. I actually have a strike that I got that's set up, so you can help me
Yeah, dude.
help me with my strike app when he
Absolutely.
sign off because I want to.
Yeah, we have a bunch
start
of Bitcoiners
linking
in
my
here.
strike.
What do you think of the new Pleb Lab?
I think it's nice. I've never been to the old one.
The other one was just like an office, and that was it.
This is cool. I got to start going to these meetings more, but I'm always fucking working, or I'm always like doing these podcasts, or I'm always going to these meetings. Like I can't go on Thursday because I got to go to Round Rock.
Oh,
I might do a drag show. What do you think about that?
really?
Yeah, maybe in Round Rock, right? Because they want drag queens reading this to 5-year-olds.
I mean, to each their own.
Like
Whatever you wanna
that's what
do.
they want to do in the school district. They like have they
I
have
probably
Car-
wouldn't
they have-
go because
they
it's
have-
not my style.
No,
but
they have drag shows now
let
that are
you,
family
do whatever
friendly
you want.
where little kids are fucking putting money in the G-string of the drag queen, and it's like progressive now. So what I'm thinking of doing is maybe I'll dress in drag and perform a show in front of the whole school board saying that I want to do this for your 5-year-old and your preschool.
Oh my god!
And
Will they
just-
listen to you?
I think they have no choice. I'll just put on like heels and makeup. I don't know.
Will
like-
they hire you though? You're saying that there's a potential they'll hire you to
No,
do
they're
it.
definitely not going to hire me. I'm definitely going to troll the fuck out of them. I'm going to be like, guys, I'm a drag queen. I think it's great that you're like letting people like me, read stories to your 4 and 5-year-old kid. I think that's awesome.
What would be your?
and I'll wear like a little short, like a little.
Would
little
your name
dress.
still be Alex Stranger?
I'll be
or-
Alexa. I'll be Alexa when I go in there, right? And I like, put like some glitter on, get some makeup, get some high heels, put like some stockings on, and then like I'll put like a Lizzo song and I'll just start dancing all seductively.
Lizzo? Who's Lizzo?
Lizzo, the fat fucking black chick that's eating. and
Never heard of her.
Well, don't worry about it. I'll put on a Britney. I'll put some stupid pop song on, right? And dance to it. And I'll just be like, I don't know, go like real close to like some super conservative parent and just see if they could like, and just make them try to like shove money in them and make them really uncomfortable. And then that's
Has that ever happened when you're out there doing these things? Does anybody ever like try to fight you or anything?
Not yet.
Really?
But no. So when I went to Round Rock, last time I went to Round Rock, I gave a speech. My name was Noah Schwartz. I was a CRT expert, and I talked about how we need to abolish the nuclear family. It was associated with like whiteness and white supremacy, and like we should abolish it.
And what did they say?
So at first, the people in the audience thought I was like serious, and I was getting like dirty looks, and it looked like I was about to be stoned to death by all these like conservative, angry parents. And then like towards the middle of my speech, they started realizing what I was doing, and it turned from like anger to laughter. And then I like started saying that Cuties on Netflix needs to be required viewing.
What's Cuties on Netflix? What is it?
Just look up Cuties, okay?
I'm afraid to.
Cuties was a movie on Netflix where a bunch of like 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds were trying to enter a dance contest, and there was like a very sexual dance. So it's basically a movie on Netflix that sexualized little kids. And then I said that like
dude.
I'm
so glad I'm connected from all this crap.
Well,
I don't
also
watch any of this crap. I'm so glad, dude.
Yeah, but it's also important to watch and understand what's going on around you to really sell why
that's
people
why
need
you're
Bitcoin.
That's why you're here for me. I can understand.
So then I also said that like I also pretty much called all the parents domestic terrorists, and they need to be investigated by the FBI, and repeated all these like State Department talking points,
What
I
did
said
they
they were all
say?
white supremacists. No, I looked like I was about to be stoned to death. Like they looked like the one dude was wearing like a 1776 shirt, and it looked like he wanted to fight her. Like I'll show you the video. Like, as a matter of fact, you should link the video up if you.
Yeah,
can.
I will. I'll link it all on your thing.
Yeah, no, but even play that video.
Yeah, I'll play it here in the background. They'll see it.
Yeah, you should play it because you'll see to a T, right? And so the school board president actually interrupted my speech to get the crowd to be quiet so that I could finish.
Oh, they agreed with you.
Yeah, wild stuff, right? And then so that was my experience in Round Rock.
Whoa, that's a lot of families live. For people that aren't from Austin, like Round Rock and Pflugerville are big family areas for a lot of people.
Yeah, and they're starting
that's
to
like
realize
where
now
all the families.
and
Like,
they're starting to realize what's happening with their school system right now, and it's a little
you meet your significant other here in Central Austin, and you move to like
Round Rock, where
Leander,
your
Round
family
Rock,
is,
and
yeah.
Pflugerville
Yes,
to go
yes.
live your family.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
So I think that's hilarious. And then when I was in Leander last, before I talked about my dinosaur daughter, there were people in Leander who were like recognizing me. Hey, you're the guy who speaks at these meetings. Like, and I was like, no, I'm just here for my trans daughter. Like, I'm trying to like pretend and play dumb. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm being recognized. Like, this isn't good. I'm going to actually have to start. There might be a point where like, it hasn't happened yet, but there have been a few like little mini threats of like, next time I see someone like that, I'm introducing myself to that person. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, good luck. A. And B, you might get a situation where people might just try to like obstruct you and stop you from speaking. Right.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think it's going to get there, but in case it does, there might get to a point where I need to start bringing people with me.
Like as a bodyguard?
No, not as a bodyguard, just someone to film, like as a camera person. Right. So if like any weird stuff happens or people try to like obstruct me or stop me from speaking, I'm like, okay, fine, we're filming this. I'll still get the content. I'll still get something out there.
Yeah, dude.
So,
if there's anybody out there listening and they want to help Alex.
Yeah. If anybody from Pleb Lab ever wants to come, I'm going to Round Rock on Thursday. So if anybody would like to come to Round Rock with me,
I couldn't go up there.
well, anybody, we could talk about it back there. But like, that's the thing. Lake Travis should be fine. There's a bond that they're doing. They're trying to like for like 5 million or 50 million, some crazy bond package. And I'm like, well,
what are they trying to do?
Well, I don't know. It's just a bond to build a bunch of stuff that the parents don't want because it's going to raise the taxes out of like up the wazoo, And so I think I'm going to go speak and talk about how like, well, we got to use that money to make sure our kids have an anti-racist education and really like understand the value of like progressive ideology. And like, that's why we need to build the Joseph Rosenbaum Elementary School. Joseph Rosenbaum got killed protesting for Black lives in Kenosha, Wisconsin 2 years ago. Joseph, he was shot by Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who's Kyle Rittenhouse?
Kyle Rittenhouse was a 17-year-old kid who came in to defend local businesses, and he was trying to put out a fire that Joseph Rosenbaum was starting, that he was wheeling towards a gas station, trash out. He was wheeling to the gas station, and then Joseph Rosenbaum was chasing him with like a knife or something, right? And then Kyle Rittenhouse got scared for his life and safety and just shot him with an AR-15. And then he shot 2 more people who started attacking him afterwards. And then he wound up being acquitted by a jury, and now he sued and then they called him a Nazi and white supremacist and did all types of shit.
Really?
Then he sued CNN or The View.
He was defending.
Yeah, and then he sued like The View and got a $22 million settlement from The View. And these like, there's all these lawsuits.
When did this all happen?
It's happened in Kenosha during BLM in 2020.
And I'm so glad I just focus on Bitcoin, man. I don't have to pay attention to any of this crap.
Well, you gotta buy some land and have a farm and grow your own food and become self-sustaining. Because then, like when things do get really bad, I do want to get to a point ultimately where none of this is my problem.
Yeah, you need to find a young Alex Stranger out there to take over.
Well, I mean, it'll happen, but right now I got to do my due diligence, right? But that's why I got that house in Johnson City. So like whatever the public safety. I'm like, listen, Austin's going to shit, and this is what's happening, and I'm going to do my best, but I also realize that I'm probably powerless in the short term, but it's also not as much my problem anymore because I don't live in Austin.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and the value of and once Austin goes to shit, the value of my home in Johnson City is going to go up because everyone's going to move there. It's just like, well, at least I'll be okay, all right, is how I'm looking at it. And it sucks looking at it like that, but it's just like, you got to still live in reality and understand you got to still make decisions that's best for you. And everybody should be making decisions best for themselves, right? But like, that's, I guess what it is, but I don't know, man. I'm just going to go to Lake Travis and talk about the Joseph Rosenbaum Elementary School. And, Joseph Rosenbaum loved children. And just do a Google search on him and you could really see how much he loved little kids, Car.
What does that mean?
What do you think it means?
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Dude, this is wild times, man.
Wild times. But anyway, I don't want to give my whole speech away, but I think like that's going to be the gist of my speech tomorrow. Hopefully you don't air this until,
Yeah, we'll probably air it Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, so there you go.
That's
I can
cool.
talk about this and then you could see everything, right?
Yeah, we'll post it on. How fast do you turn around on the posts on your side? Like
a few days. I post clips. What I do with my stuff is I'll like post clips a day or two later and then just like
we can post this on Saturday if you want.
How about you post whatever you want? Yeah, post on
but
Saturday.
that way I can put the all the
links. That'd be great.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah.
What I do with mine is I post clips and like try to get subscribers to my Patreon. I'm like, hey,
you have a Patreon?
Yeah.
They haven't kicked you off yet?
I mean, I have like 4 subscribers, dude. I don't have any, like I barely have any
Really?
subscribers.
Well,
I have like
shill those Patreon. What's
patreon.com/pedicab if you want early access to my episodes.
And then also, what's your Bitcoin address, or do you have like a Lightning address? Have you made
I'm going to show you all that. We'll link it. But I have an Edge wallet well, you sent
I've sent you Bitcoin.
Yeah, you sent me Bitcoin before.
We need to make you a Lightning wallet so that way we can link that too.
Well, that's what Strike is, right?
Oh yeah, you have a Strike account.
I do.
Okay.
So you're going to show me how to use it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that right now. Thanks for coming on the show.
I appreciate it. This is so much fun.
Hey, if you want to check out more Alex Stranger, we'll link everything in the show notes. But I think what you're doing is something that I can sit and say and be like, man, there's a guy who really gives a crap about the people around him, his city. And yes, it might look like crazy things that you're doing, but I think this is how you get people to fundamentally change and to take notice. And you're being that. And so thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm just doing my best, that's all I can do.
Yeah. So I can't wait to see you in another Ninja Turtle outfit.
Yeah, well,
maybe Donatello.
We'll see what happens, man. Just stay tuned. Get ready.